From the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C.
Good afternoon, everyone. And I'm really delighted to see you all here, especially under the circumstances with our Jefferson building being closed. And so it really is, and our speaker coming all the way from London to be with us. So I'm delighted to see such a large audience. I'm Mary Jane Deeb, Chief of the African Middle East Division. And I want to welcome you here to our division, to invite you to return as often as possible. We are a division made up of 3 sections, as most of you know, the African section, the Hebraic section, and the Near East section. We cover 78 countries, and we cover them in the sense that we are responsible for their collections and for serving those collections in this room. And we don't simply collect books and journals and newspapers and serve them, but we also like to invite the people who do research in this reading room, who use our collections and who consult with our specialists, all of whom are scholars and specialists in the region that they cover. We like to have them come here and to share with us the product of their research, the books that they have done, they have written, the articles, and others, and other products. We also like to invite people from outside who have not necessarily used our collections, but who, like the gentleman today, Michael McConnon, can give us an insight into the culture of the societies from whose collections this division's collections is made up of. So we invite people who bring in films, who have photographs, who have artwork that illustrate and that speak to the culture of our 78 countries. So today we have Michael McConnon, and he's the director of a wonderfully beautiful entitled film, Heaven and Earth. And we are very much looking forward to the film that addresses a special aspect of Ethiopian society. And here to introduce him is our own scholar and specialist, Fentahun Tirune.
Thank you, Mary Jane. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming to attend this program today. Before I introduce our special guest today, I would like to make a couple of announcements. First, the forms that you see, the survey forms that you see that we placed on your seats, please make sure that you fill them out and leave them when you leave, or give it to me, or we leave them by the information desk. This event is being videotaped for subsequent broadcast on the library's webcast and other media. There will be a formal question and answer period after the screening, in which the audience is encouraged to ask questions and offer comments. But please be advised that your voice and image may be recorded and later broadcast as part of this event. By participating in the question and answer period, you are consenting to the library's possible reproduction and transmission of these remarks, of your remarks. I will now introduce our guest. McConnon Michael, or Michael, is a British Ethiopian independent documentary filmmaker and BBC World Service freelance regular art reporter. McConnell completed his high school diploma at the General Wingate Vocational School in Addis Ababa in 1988. He has his BA honors in communication and cultural studies in late 1990s from Middlesex University, London, and a master's degree in African Studies from the School of Oriental and African Studies, University of London. His postgraduate dissertation, Ethnicity and Nationalism in African Context, was published with Cambridge University Press in 2007. McConnell is a recipient of BBC's Skillset Millennium Award for his radio broadcasting project called Bridging the Gap, a program designed to focus on the life of African immigrants in the United Kingdom. In his radio broadcasting career with the BBC World Service, McConnell produced and presented a number of programs such as Shakespeare in Amharic, Bridging the Gap, Mulatu Astatke, Father of Ethio Jazz, biographical documentary, and interviewed numerous Ethiopians and other African musicians and artists. McConnell made 3 documentary films, including the Ethiopian Thinking, 22-minute documentary on the brief history of Ethiopian philosophy in 2009. In 2011, Sacred Art, History of Modern Art and Art Education in Ethiopia from the perspective of the biography of Ale Felege Salam, founder of the Modern Art School in Ethiopia. And Heaven and Earth, Church Education and Monastic Culture in Ethiopia in 2015. McConnell at the moment is doing research to make a 2-hour documentary on the political history of Ethiopia from 1900 onwards. McConnell is also a qualified youth and community worker who involves in different ethnic minority community and youth projects in London. McConnell Michael is married and is a father of 3. Please welcome McConnell Michael.
Thanks very much, Gash Pantown, for your generous description of me. Wonderful. Thank you very much. My experience in visual media started since 2005 when I was involved with different youth community projects, video projects. And after that, I involved lots of community project, video project in London, and that was the beginning. But I came across with the African cultures. I'm a cultural documentary filmmaker at the moment, independent, mainly focused in Northeastern African history and culture. This particular documentary, Heaven and Earth, is a 50-minute, 47-minute documentary on the philosophical aspect of Ethiopian history, which is church education and monastic culture. The reason why I call Heaven and Earth, on my research when I travel around to the northern part of Ethiopia, the highland Ethiopia, the landscape, the beauty of the country, the color, the society, and the devotion of the people who live in the monastery, the nuns and the priestess and all that is very heavenly. And their day-to-day life and hardship is also earth. So I try to just make some comparison between heaven and earth. So all together in that particular part of the land. Traveling to do this documentary, traveling in Ethiopia is not easy because the roads are not really, really good, especially when you go to the mountains and to the remote part of the churches and the monasteries. But it is life-changing and so spiritual and wonderful. I'm privileged to involve with such kind of amazing documentary and journey. And I met very, very interesting individuals, spiritual people, priests and nuns and monks and Ethiopianists, Ethiopian historians and intellectuals. And with all that, I have privileged to involve in such a wonderful project. So this particular film, Heaven and Earth, as I said, dealing with the factual account of the church education, which is the Kolot Murtbet, they call it in Amharic and Ge'ez, and the monastic culture, which is backdated to about 2,000 years. And it is very difficult to compile everything in 50 minutes, the architecture, the literature, the music, all together. To make a 50-minute documentary, all this together is very difficult, but it is an introductory or very informative and gives some very selective ideas what is going on in the past 2,000 years in Ethiopia, and the fundamental education and the fundamental philosophy. You will see on the documentary that it can show that which is a continuation. So I'm going to have a plan to make part 2 and part 3. Probably part 2, I'm focusing on the literature and choreography and the language. Part 3, I might go to the deeper understanding and research on the Ethiopian music from Yared till today. So that's my next project. I hope you will enjoy the film, and we're going to have a question and answer after the session. And thank you for coming. Thank you very much.
Culture. Ethiopia, where it all began, is an encyclopedia of geology and cultural geography. Immortalized in the words of the Greek poets, Ethiopia is a living book in which we may contemplate the whole story of humanity. According to contemporary evolutionary science, this story begins millions of years ago, when man's earliest ancestors first appeared in the country's northeastern Afar region. The Ethiopian celebration of Christmas, usually around the end of the first week in January, is a major event in the country. It was a privilege for us to attend this magnificent pilgrimage with thousands of Ethiopians from across all parts of the country. Tradition traces the introduction of Christianity in Ethiopia to the 4th or 5th decade after the birth of Christ.
Christianity came to Ethiopia in the early 4th century, with some traditions saying that in fact it came during the time of the Apostles. But at all events, it's been here so long that it has come into very close contact with the local civilization. And I suppose there was an Africanization of Christianity, so that it becomes much more in harmony with traditional African beliefs.
Although Christianity existed long before the rule of King Ezana of the Kingdom of Axum, it took root and flourished after it was declared a state religion in 330 AD. Our journey begins at Lalibela, the 8th wonder of the world, where tourists flock to see the remarkable and world-famous rock-hewn churches. The only pre-colonial Christian church in sub-Saharan Africa, the Ethiopian Church has a membership of between 40 and 45 million, the majority of whom live in Ethiopia, and is thus the largest of all the Orthodox Oriental churches. According to legend, King Lalibela of the Zagwe dynasty built the churches in the form of the Jerusalem of his dreams. It has also been said that the rock churches were the result of collaboration between humans and angels. In the church at Beit Medanyalim, the centuries-old paintings and architectural designs reveal the roots of Ethiopia's artistic heritage. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church has a standard pattern of worship in adherence to canonical directives. The modes of worship are formally fixed for holy days, monthly saint days, Sundays during the fasting season, as well as common days throughout the year. People are gathered from all over the country to celebrate this 3-day-long ceremony called Bezakulu, or Birth of Christ. Most of the people are easily able to accommodate themselves at the church compound for several days. On the eve of the birth of Christ, there are prayers and communal singing of the hymns of Saint Yared. Among the most fastidious, prayers extend throughout the night, attended by the burning of incense and the illumination of hundreds of handmade candles. During this unique gathering, the personalities of hundreds of the faithful are played out against the strains of trumpets and ululating women. This is a very special occasion for us to observe and to be part of. A perpetual moment in time in which your sense of self is absorbed into a timeless ritual of African communality. At Lalibela, the commemoration of the birth of Christ is typical of Ethiopian Christianity, characterized as it is by syncretistic accommodation of indigenous traditions and canonization of native Ethiopians as martyrs and saints. King Lalibela himself was canonized in the Ethiopian Church. It is 3 a.m. in the morning, and yet most people are alert and attentive. Some are reading the Psalms of David, some are in audible prayer, while others repose in quiet contemplation.
After his preaching, the parish priest blessed the mass and sent them home on the last day of the celebration.
The churches sustain a number of traditional activities. Parchment preparation is one such enterprise, which is part of the daily routine of the young monks and priests in training.
This is a gold skin prepared for art painting. As you can see, it is a little bit thicker. When we prepare for writing, it has to be thin parchment, which is convenient to write.
There are 13 rocking churches in Lalibela, among which the largest, the Bet Daniel, is the scene of a spectacular annual pilgrimage of the faithful. Neglected in recent years, the Bet Daniel is now being restored by work under the auspices of UNESCO and the Ethiopian government's Authority for Research and Heritage Preservation.
The monuments we have, as they age, if not proper treatment is engaged, if not proper care, proper follow-up is engaged, indeed, it's not only deterioration, destruction itself starts to happen, and that's what we are observing. Because this country is indeed historic, we have lots of not only monuments, but ancient cities which are buried under this. So we need to explore it. When we explore it, we need to engage professional values in trying to counter the natural deterioration rate and the artificial impacts which are really happening on these monumental values.
For example, in the case of Lalibela, the Beit of Kyrgyz,
The design of that was made with a cross, showing the different levels, the first story, second, third floors, were indicated on a cross. And just like we at this modern time have got a blueprint, which is designed by an architect. In those days, the easiest way to communicate with the masons was to show them by the crosses. So when you're doing this, you are doing the first level, the second level, the third level. I did some analysis on that. And that was a very amusing and very interesting and creative way of bringing a structural design of a monument, for example.
Monasteries in Ethiopia have been centers of education and spiritual practices, which include self-exile from worldly life and the seeking of God's kingdom. Whereas some contemporaneous monasteries in Europe eventually became universities, in Ethiopia for over 1,000 years, monasteries remain unchanged. The monastery of Debre Libanos, founded in the 13th century by the Ethiopian saint Abuna Tepe Haymon, has for centuries been Ethiopia's leading center for monasticism. The center is also known for its resistance to the fascist Italian invasion of World War II, during which there was a massacre of thousands of monks. Ethiopian monasteries dedicate themselves to full practice of spirituality and mysticism. This is quite unlike the transformation of some European monasteries into latter-day breweries, wineries, and distilleries. There are many monasteries on the island of Leitan, but two are especially noteworthy: Entos Iesus Gedem and Azra Mariam Gedem, which is a center for church education among the Leitan monasteries. Scattered throughout the islands of Lake Tana, there are still to this day over 30 secluded monasteries. This is Entos Iesus Monastery, which is attended by 25 practitioners of both sexes. Entos Iesus Gedam accepts the coexistence of both men and women. In other words, in the eyes of God and in His service, there is no place for artificial distinctions amongst the faithful.
ገዳም ሲባል ያው አንድነትን የሚገልጽ ማህበራዊ ኑሮን የሚያመለክት ነው ገዳም ማለት።
Monastery describes unity in social life, as we learn from our holy forefathers. Some monasteries, as both monks and nuns live together, and in some cases, there are also separate monasteries for mothers and fathers.
እናቶችም አባቶችም ከጥንት እንግዲህ ሲመሰረት ገዳም አንድ ላይ እንደሚኖሩ ነው የሚያመለክተው።
The authorship of the artistic works of the monks and nuns remains unknown, insofar as it is a sin to reveal names on one's own creative work.
In the Western world, starting from Socrates to the latest philosophers like Kant, in those cases, they wrote their books, people followed them, and they were popularized by the society at large. But in our country, if a certain philosopher, a thinker, would write a book, he wouldn't even dare write his name on the book. For example, now, after 450 years, Abba Gorky Sagashija, who is a very, very great philosopher and thinker, has got two books which is really prominent. Mazhaf al-Mistar is the book of the secrets, and he writes amazing things. And at that time, nobody knew him. Even now, until recently, a lot of people do not have any idea of who he is. And the other very interesting issue in this regard is all philosophical thoughts are believed to be spiritual in nature. And if you reveal them to the public at large, that one should take care of this and this and this, you would be sort of witnessing or advocating your holiness to people, which is not good in the name of in the view of God.
The Entos Iesus Gedam Monastery is at the southern tip of the monastic islands on Lake Tana. This particular monastery allows both monks and nuns to live together and both to hold to the belief that becoming a monk or nun comes only from an invitation or selection by God. The lives of these monks and nuns are marked by an asceticism of continuous prayer and self-exile, seeking divine communion through self-denial. The main income for the residents in most Ethiopian monasteries is from farming, handicrafts, bookmaking, art painting, and woodwork. This livelihood is often supplemented by donations from the faithful.
Whoever loves or favors his mother and father can't be my follower. Only those who are willing to carry the cross can be my follower. As a result of these words of God, I abandoned the worldly life and chose to become a nun. I became a nun because I was touched by the preaching and teaching of priests in Sunday schools and churches. Monastery life is full of activities. We have timetables. When the bell rings, we have prayers. Otherwise, we do housework and make our handicrafts.
Before I became a monk, I was separated from my parents, and I was a choral student at parish schools. Then I studied deaconship and church services. When I came across with God's words in different spiritual books, I felt to become a monk. and lead monastic life. Then I became a monk at the age of 15. I joined this monastery straight from the parish school. I follow my education here and learn from my fellow monks and nuns, and follow the spiritual practices with the help of love of God, who brought me here. These are the closely built residences of the ecclesiastical school, where students live together. It is clearly advantageous for the students to live in close proximity, the better to share knowledge, ideas, and experiences. In traditional African thought, people gain social recognition only after various rites of incorporation, so that personhood is something which has to be achieved. In the process of social incorporation and identity formation, indigenous learning plays a crucial role as a transmitter of social rules and values. Until the introduction of modern education towards the end of the 19th century, the Ethiopian Church was responsible for literacy, social values, and identity. After adopting Christianity as a state religion, the Church took responsibility for the transmission of the intellectual legacy of classical African knowledge. In their search for spiritual knowledge, students who are known locally as Yekolo Tamari will travel great distances away from their natal homestead. And regardless of their chosen center of enrollment and whatever part of the country they've come from, the students' monastic education is free until they have accomplished their priestly endeavors. Yeneta Alemu is the head teacher of the Azwa Mariam Parish School. He told me about the different pathways and the criteria how to become a scholar in Ethiopian church education. He told me he passed all the necessary church exams to become a teacher in this parish school. He specialized in Dukwa, which is one of the curriculums in Ethiopian parish school.
There is a school when I was born here, his birthplace. His parents living here, but he working from here. He has learning from here. The family there just be imposed him to do to help to agricultural sector.
We all start from guesstimating. We are all of us a product of parish schools. The students back in the day came from whichever part of the country in seeking knowledge and education. Culturally, every student, regardless of his background, whether he is a rich or poor background, he survived with the support of the neighborhood. We all get our daily food by begging from the neighborhood. He might be from southern part of the country or from north, whichever part. He just leave his parents and his birthplace, his friends, his cousins, and just look for Guinea Center anywhere in the country. If there are 30 houses in the village, each student will have 5 households to be served. In such a way, without paying any tuition fee or living cost. The student will finish his education until he become ligalikaut, or we call it professor in the modern education title. This for me is a free scholarship and nothing else. This is a scholarship. We should claim that we even invent scholarship while the world was in dark. Nobody knows about this.
Students are sustained with free food offerings from the community and are additionally fortunate that their tuition fees are covered. Gondar is one of the best-known historical cities of Ethiopia. Founded in 1635 by King Fasilidas, the city served as the capital of Ethiopia until 1855, when Theodorus II moved his court to Magdala. Despite the turmoil of the 18th century, many of the unique castles of the city survived and have made Gondar a special tourist attraction. In the center of Gondar is the Debre Birhan Selassie Church, founded in the 17th century by Emperor Iyasu. The church is famous for its outstanding examples of Ethiopian church art. These wonderful wall paintings depict biblical scenes, saints and hagiography, with a ceiling festooned with the faces of hundreds of angels. The walls also depict various New Testament stories, including the crucifixion. The other famous church school we visited is the Medan Elim Andimta School, perched imposingly at the top of the highest hill in Gondar city. This hilltop parish school is famous for allowing students to pursue the entire traditional church curriculum.
In Ethiopian Orthodox Church, there are many abundant or parish schools, starting from Fidel, characters, Libab, reading, Meswata Zema, music, Kede, Dukwa, Akwapam, Zimari Meswat, Trukwame, interpretation, all are given with many schools across Ethiopia. What makes our school, which is in capital of Gondar city, different from others is, since the time of Emperor Fasil and the first teacher, Member Esdros, and continued by our recent teachers, Dr. Ayela Alamu and Likalikaut Mankri Makonnen, our school, unlike other parish schools, teach all 4 books. Book of Orit, New Testament, Metzafe Likaut, and Metzafe Menekosat. All other schools teach only one pathway, only one of these curriculum. That makes our schools different.
Attending Sunday Mass and receiving the blessing of the parish priest is compulsory for Orthodox Christians. Each melodic reading has its own unique rhythm, and the final part of the invocation of the Psalms of David is reciting each psalm by heart. everyone is impressed by the commitment of the supplicants. But the question remains, what are the origins of the Ethiopian monastic education system? And how is it that this indigenous African Christianity has hitherto remained hidden from the rest of Africa and the world? Our country is rich all with this culture and traditions. We have the unique music style and education, which founded by Saint Yared. It is always new and long-lasting and forever. And it always attracts tourists. One book of interpretation and the kine added to this, it makes our country unique, who combined ancient and modern philosophy. Of the prayer stick and the liturgical dances are rather reminiscent of ancient Judaism, whereas the African elements include the typical features of ancestor worship and spirit possession. Features such as the drum, hand clapping, ululating, and the negotiation with malevolent and capricious spirits. According to Yeneta Alemu, the students start their education by learning the Ge'ez characters and spelling. Then they start reading Ge'ez. Once they are good in reading, they will study Psalm. After that, they can be a deacon and give service for the church ceremony. If they want to be a teacher, they will continue studying Zema, Akwawam, Dugwa, Chomadugwa, and finally could become a legal account or professor. Here you see some of the students are in teaching courses. They finished the first stage. Now they are in interpretation stage. Once they finish this, they will become a Dugwa, a Kwakwam, Kene, or a music teacher, whichever part of the country they came from.
Tafarra had accomplished his church education at this parish school some years ago. Now he has a master's degree in economics. He explained his memory as a young student when he looked back his childhood. I have a beautiful memory of my Yekolo Tamari life, and I am so emotional to see my old school back again. When it comes to church education, I found it very, very useful and makes your life very easy when joining modern schools. In traditional school, you start learning reading by heart and memorizing every chapter by heart, then go to different levels. So when we join modern school, everything would be very easy for us. Yeneta Alamu explains the examination process for students at every level. When the assistant teacher believes the student should go on to the next level, the student will be sent to take an examination with me. If he reads without any error, he will be transferred to the next level. Otherwise, he will remain at the same level until he passes. We have witnessed each reading has its own rhythm. When a young boy reads, the teacher explains, first he started with normal reading, that they call it Wurdenbach. Then goes to Gillis, a bit fast-paced one. After he passes the reading exam, he becomes a literate priest who is able to recite by heart. Apart from reading, writing, and music education, the students will also learn parchment preparations and making inks from natural plants, which is useful for writing and art painting purposes. The origin of Giz has been described by different people differently. Some suggest the origin of Giz is South Arabia. It came with Agazians. But this is absolutely wrong. There are some books suggest Giz as language of the world. I can quote on this. All language of the world called after their clan. Only Giz have no any clan name. Giz means number one, first. So the early German philosophers C.D. Paulus and Johannes believe Giz as language of Adam and Eve, as the whole world used to speak in one language, and Giz with no trace of clan, it is possible to say language of the earth.
In the 17th century, German Oriental scholar Hiob Ludolf became interested in Ethiopian Christianity after meeting an Ethiopian monk who at the time was sojourning in Europe. Pioneering scholar of Ge'ez, the classical language of Ethiopia, Ludolf felt that the relative purity of Ethiopian Christianity would throw light on the early origins of the Christian creed. A legacy of this unusual encounter between the scholar and the monk is the library at Gotha in central Germany, which to this day houses a rare collection of ancient Ethiopian manuscripts.
የራሳችንን እውቀት ይዘን ወደፊት መራመድ ሲገባን እየናቅን የፈረንጆቹን ይዘን እንመጣለን። ምንም ማለት አይደለም። ይህ ግዕዝ ከነ ፊደሉ እንደውም አማርኛም ከነ ፊደሉ ለኢትዮጵያ ቀርቶ
We're supposed to celebrate and embrace our heritage and philosophical foundation, but we are now neglect our ancient knowledge base and mimicking other cultures. As a matter of fact, that doesn't mean anything. Ge'ez and Amharic with their characters not only considered as a language and philosophical base for Ethiopia, but for the whole African continent. There are three types of writing systems in Africa. Latin, which has colonial heritage. Second is Arabic, it came with Islam. And the other original and native African language with highly evolved literature is our Ge'ez and Amharic. So we should introduce it to Africa. Why should Africa import something foreign while she has homegrown language and philosophy? We should advocate this internationally.
ብለው ተናግረዋል። በእውነቱ ይህን የሚገፋበት ቢገኝ የሚያስተዋውቀው ቢገኝ የሚቆረቆርለት ቢገኝ ኢትዮጵያዊ ወኔ ያለው ሰው ቢገኝ ኖሮ ይህንን ነገር ወደ አፍሪካ አስፋፍቶ አፍሪካ በራሷ ከውጭ የምታቀምጥ ሰው በራሷ ብዙ በመሬቷ የበቀለው
I think it is one of the strengths of philosophy in Africa, and it's one which needs to be encouraged. We really ought to be teaching this in the schools, in the same way as in the past we were teaching Latin and Greek in the schools, in Ethiopia, in the secondary schools at least, there should be the study of this.
The historical capital of Aksum is today an undistinguished city that is not even the capital of the northern Ethiopian province of Tigray. Despite its relative unimportance in modern times, among the glories of Aksum's past are its reputation as the court of the Queen of Sheba and the Second Jerusalem, to which ancient priests brought the Ark of the Covenant. The Cathedral of Mariam Sion, or Saint Mary of Zion, was the holiest place in Ethiopian Christendom and is still said to house the Ark. Ruined palaces and prominently displayed giant stone obelisks or stelae serve to some extent as a refutation of the prevailing Eurocentric philosophy that there is no such thing as an advanced indigenous African civilization. A persistent feature of this outdated Eurocentrism is the notion of a southern Arabian involvement in the establishment of the Aksumite civilization, implying that in Africa, nothing of significance could transpire without the stimulus of external, non-African agents. Despite the continuous changes in our contemporary world, the Church maintains its traditional practices. One such tradition is that which forbids women to enter the world-famous Church of St. Mary of Zion. This exclusion of women is traced to the story of the misdeeds of the infamous Ethiopian queen Yodit, who is said to have destroyed Highland Christian churches in 900 AD. One noteworthy consequence of this exclusion of women was played out in 1996, when during German President Roman Herzog's state visit to Ethiopia, the German female ambassador accompanying Herzog was obliged to view the sacred artifacts of St. Mary of Zion from outside the church. Apart from the various scattered references to Ethiopia in the Bible, Ethiopia also has a special place in the Quran. In this very place, about a millennium and a half ago, when Christian Aksum was at the height of its power, the Aksumite king provided a haven to some of the Prophet Muhammad's earliest converts who were fleeing from persecution in Mecca. This flight, or hijra, represents a special chapter in pre-Islamic history and is an example of Ethiopian hospitality for which the Prophet instructed his followers not to wage any kind of war against the Ethiopians. One memorable example of the enduring allusions to Ethiopia's Christian heritage is the Demera procession, otherwise known as the Finding of the True Cross. This is an event whose symbolism resonates with the national vision of Ethiopia at the heart of the ongoing African Renaissance.
I hope you enjoyed it. Before we go into the question and answer session, I just want to give a little appreciation to people who helped me when I do this documentary film. As you can see, I travel a lot because to make different captures from different areas. And I didn't really made it as I want, because as an independent filmmaker, I fund myself. Most of the funding comes from my own and my family money. My wife is here. I'm sure she's going to appreciate this now. And so I was struggling at the moment, at the time. I really thank the Heritage Preservation Authority in Ethiopia. It's a brilliant team there. Mr. Jara Hailemariam, my good friend, the former Director General, and Jonas Desta, his successor, and some other people who actually helped me when I do this documentary, and a little funding from the UNESCO, also I really appreciate that, and the Ethiopian Airlines. They've been through, helped me, even for my trip today here, they give me traveling, they cover my traveling cost, and they are willing to use this film to their in-flight, and I'm in negotiation stage at the moment. That's brilliant stuff. And I really thank Dr. Johannes Zeleke from Zeleke Tours, because without him, I couldn't come here. A fellow brother and an academic. We have a plan to do more work on this, because he has more content knowledge. I'm a filmmaker, I'm an artist, but with a collaboration with both of us, I hope we're going to do more documentary to come. And I really, really humbled and honored to show my film in this prestigious center. I really thank Barry Jane, and I really thank my brother Turuna Fantown as well. It is a privilege, and I hope our relationship in this kind of work will be continued. And my friend Matt Andreas also here, he's photographing me. And I don't know whether I look like good or not, but he will show me later. That's brilliant. And I'm so privileged to do this documentary. Although it's my own idea, I wrote it and directed and produced it, but lots of people, I can't name everybody, call everybody, but lots of people helped me to do this documentary. My cinematographer, Detlef Maurice Abebe, is a wonderful cameraman, and soundtrack music made by Teddy Mack, is an Ethiopian composer, and I really thank him as well. He's been there with me throughout, and thank you. So I'm here to answer any question you have. Thank you, Mary Jenny.
First of all, I want to thank you. The film is spectacular. Really.
Thank you.
It was really beautiful. So I have just a general question, but I thought it might capture one of the things you put through. Remember when there was this interview with a priest teacher, and he said something which I thought was striking. He said those traditions continue from ancient times, but there's always something new. And I was wondering, it was something that seemed to come again and again. That it's all a tradition, but there's also something new added.
Yes.
Modernity or something. Now, I wanted you to elaborate a bit.
Okay.
On the old and the new.
Yes. As you can see, when from the lake and cut to these small cottage student houses, and you see the door when it is shut down, you see that tells at the religious school in English. Never been there before. They didn't do it for me. It was there. That is one of the modernity side. And Amharic, it used to be everything in Ge'ez now. It used to be, but Ge'ez now, even on liturgy, in the church ceremony, on the worship also, they are now Amharic also take over. So people now learn English in very fast pace. Youngsters, that area, are speaking a very, very good English, probably better than me. That is also a sign of modernity and then a change. And on that particular premises, when I talk to the teacher, he explains in details about the levels, the criteria of being a Kolo Tamari or traditional student. So it is very, very fascinating because I stayed about 3-4 days there with the students, and I didn't put lots of pictures because I cannot put everything for 45 and 50-minute film. But it's so fascinating how they are really, the system by itself is very fierce, and then you have to really prepare yourself, read every day, every second. So with a very strong, repetitive reading, then you start citing by heart. So that's one of the criteria. It's so difficult. That didn't change, still there. There's no much difference. But the system a little bit changed. I don't know, to some extent. They said that back in the days was very, very difficult, was very strong. The daily life is still the same, very difficult for them. Even back in the days, much better. Everybody, all these little students, youngsters, all are surviving with begging and supported by the community. That is still the same. But now and then, there are elements of things are really new and still the same for the past 1,500 years as well. And in my next project, which I am already prepared, is to focus in detail on the education system, on the literature, and a very, very fascinating and mind-blowing investigation we're going to do when we do that. This is as an introductory, the beginning, the first part of the whole content. So that's the way. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, a very good question. It is declining. I'm the witness because from the research till I traveled all these magnificent places and the film and talk to the people who live in there, it is declining. And my film is not only informing the heritage, the African heritage, the identity we have to the rest of the world, or those stereotypes, the Eurocentric ideologies. Africa is rich in knowledge. It is not always telling us that without external agents, we cannot move forward. That's not really right. It's not true, and we have to show that. This documentary as an internalist approach. I am an Ethiopian, although I live over 23, 24 years in England since my youngest age. I'm an Ethiopian. So such kind of documentary in detail never been done by an African filmmaker or documentary filmmaker. So for me, is a kind of research as well. This documentary, or the idea behind this documentary, is identity. It's not, I'm not showing all the beautiful landscape only, no. But look, we have this for the past 1,500 years or 2,000 years. And we should promote that. We should embrace that. We should show to the rest of the world. Identity is a key, I think, in my concept. We should know that where we come from, to know who we are. And that is why I am doing this documentary. It is, as you can see, that I didn't really emphasize it is just Ethiopian. It is an African. It is black. And we have culture, and we have philosophy, and we have education system. And that should be the center for our existence and to move forward. And we should come together and work on that. I am always baffled when I see that there's not a single feature film made about the Battle of Adwa. We always say that we black, we have culture, we have to fight, we have to do this, we have to do that. Why we didn't show that? That is the beginning. Hollywood did so many films in the world. The British made so many films, including the colonialism, the colonial fight, their fight as a positive acknowledgement. A single film didn't do, all these production companies and big black producers didn't do anything about the Battle of Adwa. It's a shame. I'm so angry and I'm so really baffled about this. So this documentary is nothing but to create awareness. Let's get together. Let's show this. Why we always talk about the Battle of Adwa is a triumph of black people against imperialism, against the racism, probably, and fascism. And everybody worked for that. if we see the past history, the number of black African Americans who registered to go and fight with Emperor Haile Selassie, it is amazing if we go and check the history about this. So I am always baffled about that. So this particular film is to create awareness.
Any more questions? No.
I was very intrigued by the section where you showed a monastery where men and women were both participating, and that just came as kind of a shock because in my various trips to Ethiopia, I always saw, very strict segregation between monasteries and convents, and so I'm just wondering how that comes about and if there's some tension between the traditional religion where there is that segregation by sexes and this one particular monastery where they seem to coexist.
Yes, well spotted, Matt. I did it deliberately because I select places when I do my film. For example, people who knows the prestigious centers and people who knows that the very well-known priest and monk, they say that why you didn't go there? Why you didn't go here? Because they know where is it the best. But my film is for the wider audience. And I see things in a way my camera sees. What is nicer and how I'm going to really put to interpret or give my message on the screen. But as you said, yes, I selected that particular both sexes coexistence. And they have no problem. They live together in peace and they pray together. There is no problem. Of course, there are some monasteries is a very, very divided and it's only for men and only for women. Yeah, there are as well. But this is my personal selection. I want just to show the harmony.
I don't know if they know. It was a very good question. Or is it linking that question? I don't know.
Well, it's been there.
And how do you say that? I just want to two things. It's based on some research which was being done for especially in Sabah University around 1986 or something. In that study, there was something was they tried to look they tried to look at appreciation in traditional higher education in Ethiopia. And then what it pointed out was there were two things which were pointed out. There is nothing called appreciation in traditional higher education. The student goes to a teacher and decides. Only the student goes there and decides later or whatever you call it, when the student is ready. And even if the student can go continue. But there is nothing that called appreciation. As usually in the tradition, in the higher education system.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good point for some. And then the other thing was, actually I think Ariana also tried to mention it, it was the society which gives scholarship to students. Because actually the scholarship was given by the society. Because they are going to school, you call it begging, but I don't call it begging, because they are scholarship students. They go and collect food or something so that they can go and live. Those two things which were observed. One, the society gave scholarship. It was not saying that giving scholarship, but that's how it goes.
Yes.
The reality is there is no appreciation. And if you could get the facts going to do it again, if you could mention these two points, appreciate, there is nothing appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
I remember at that time when that research was being done at Sabah University during Christmas graduation.
Yeah, well, I thank you for your comment. It's now, as I see on my research as well as my filming, modern education is now is a universal thing. I'm not advocating to change everything, the educational system of Ethiopia, to bring it to the Kolot. It is impossible. That is, it will not happen. But what I'm trying to do or advocate is, as a classical language of Giz, should be, as Richard Pancras tried to mention there, we should really give as just a subject, because it is history, the culture, identity. We should really preserve that. That is the main thing we have to really think. Like Greeks, they preserve their language, you know. We should do that. That language is the same classic. So my point is that, not to change to the higher school level. No, it's not. But I understand your comment.
Any more? Okay, I think we have to close it here. And thank you all for coming.
Yep.
And
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks.
This has been a presentation of the Library of Congress. Visit us at loc.gov.